All right. Hey, I think we're up and running here, folks. We are going to continue working on the Martial Powers update for 2025. Give me a second here to check my signal, make sure we're coming through. I'll make sure everything's in place, and then we'll get to work here for a few hours. Let's see. Checking on my signal here. If you're already familiar with the channel, you can skip ahead a minute, and I'll be up and running. But for those that are here with me now, let's see. Looks like that is coming through okay. Cool. So I'm going to grab that. Let me do a quick link here, and then we'll get the postings up. And just to give you guys a quick, just a quick intro of who I am. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online, and I have been focusing my attention on developing content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here. I've been publishing on the DMsGuild since 2018. I've been a DM in Dungeons & Dragons since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since like around 1995. And like I said, I've been making content on DMsGuild since 2018. I actually got started by building the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule system that converts the Vancian magic system and spell slots into a color mana system using the 5 colors of magic that was made famous by Magic the Gathering. So we've built out spellcasters that way. The Martial Powers project that we're working on right now is to grant the half-casters and primarily the martial characters an alternate magic system that gives them the same depth of resource management and option selection on a long rest that the full casters get, so that they're all operating with the same resource pool of mana that's expressed the same way with color, that allows you to have all 13 classes all using that same mana system and being able to multi-class between any of the classes using the same mana pool, but getting access to different spells, powers, and abilities as you level up depending on what you want to prioritize for your class. So this is going to be basically the this is going to, at this point, will convert all the classes into that mana system, which has been my objective pretty much from the get-go. But I've only just now been able to basically get the design chops to be able to build something as ambitious as this. So we've been playtesting it on my Discord channel. I've done 16 to 20 level. I've done 6th and 7th level. And right now we're doing a 3rd to 10th level as we've continued to go through iterations of the new iterations of the mechanics. So far so good. Let's see. That wraps up my intro, so we can get to work now. Here on YouTube, if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe. Holy Hannah, thanks a lot. It's new subscribers. Really appreciate you guys being here. So like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a playlist of previous work that's gotten this system to where it's at right now. Hey, Steve. And here's the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule system on the DMsGuild, so you guys can take a look at how this Color Mana system works. Not to belabor the issue, but it does come up in conversation occasionally, especially since we're going to be working on the fighter. Like, we'll be looking at the Eldritch Knight at some point, so this is relevant. But like, here's the revised color magic system. It's pay what you want. But if you open up the free preview, the entire document is here, and this document breaks down, it's very concise. It breaks down what the 5 colors are, what kind of aspects or mechanics tags in the game are kind of related to each color. Like, here's the vibe of what they are, like green magic, as you would probably expect, animals, healing, plants, nature, spirits, as opposed to like black, which deals with like soul magic and entropy, while white magic deals with like divinity as well as healing. So you have like this like triangle of balance between white, black, and green, where all of them are related like with divinity or soul or spirits. And those 3 colors are naturally devoted to like resurrection, reincarnation, revivification, raise dead. Those type of magics all work with those types of colors. So, like, as an example, and like black has, and then there's also the damage types, right? And they're pretty sensible. Like, it's pretty obvious, right? Like black and green magic for acid. Fire is red, lightning is red. That makes sense. Radiant is white. Necrotic is black. So a lot of the poison is black and green. If you're familiar with the MTG game, all these cards like these damage types really align with all the like the thousands of cards that they've published over the years. And it works with the it works with the D&D system as well. Every damage type, whether it's more or less powerful, but each color has 4 elements that are each damage type has 4 colors that they're naturally devoted to. So between the tags and the types of damage that there is, we can see a matrix for like what colors would be obvious or reasonable. Like Chill Touch, despite its title, it deals necrotic damage, so that's like a black devoted spell. Cantrips don't require any mana, but it still has that flavor. So if you don't want to, like if you like using spell slots and you don't want to go into a more mechanically complex system of managing resources, then you can just leave it as spell slots and just know that like when you're casting a Chill Touch spell, even though it's a cantrip, that's going to have like some sort of black magic related to it. So when you're doing your narrative, a DM can use just out of the box normal magic, like black waves of energy radiate from its finger as he reaches towards you, draining you of life, leaving you feeling cold inside. As opposed to a character that could start off with Chill Touch as a black spell, but maybe they spend time to research and change it because they want to play an Azorius character that's white and blue magic. Black doesn't fit into the equation, so they relearn the spell so that it can reflect white radiant energy that is, I don't know, the divinity leaves you cold inside for whatever reason. Or white and blue is often related to like just cold in general. So you could have the Chill Touch literally be chilling, that it frosts you over. It's still dealing necrotic damage perhaps, but you're narrating it differently based on the type of color scheme that you want to use. So that's the core of the system. And then the way that the actual mechanics work in a spell point system is it's 1 spell point per level. First level spell, 1 point. Fifth level spell, 5 points. Ninth level spell, 9 points. 1 point has to be devoted to the color that, like a fireball, it's a 3rd level spell. You need 3 mana. 1 needs to be red. If you don't have any red mana in your pool right now, you can't cast red spells. Kind of like in the older editions of D&D, where when you learned a spell, like in 3rd edition, if you had 3 3rd level spell slots, you had to say this and this are 2 fireballs, and then that 3rd level spell, we're going to make that 1 haste. And if you don't have a reason to use fireball today, you basically have 2 less spells today because you're not going to use fireball. So this is like a step between those two, where you can cast any spell that you want, but you have to have the color in your pool. So if you have 40 points of mana and you only have 1 point of mana that's red, you're only going to cast only one red spell, regardless of what its level is, if it takes mana. On a short or a long rest, whether you regain mana or not, you can reconfigure your entire mana pool. So it's like, well, I don't have enough red. Let's take a short rest. I can then dump, of those 29 points that are left, I can put 10 of them into red because I'm expecting to use more red magic now. Let's get back at it. So now you're building an internal reason why your full casters would want to take a short rest alongside your martial characters. And they're all gaining, the martial characters are now regaining all of their mana on a short rest or a long rest. So if you want to read along in the document as we continue to develop, you can click here on the Martial Powers playtest document, Google Doc here. It's a read-only document for you. This is the same document that we edit each session. Last time we went through the updates that we were making for the Barbarian at the front end of the book, and you'll see this if you decide to click on the document. The front end has a basic scaffold that all of the martial characters follow, whether they're half-casters or pure martials, which are the Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, and Rogue. We also have options for the Artificer and Warlock further down. And then beyond everything else, towards the back end of the book, we have all of the modifications that we made for the full casters as well. So technically, everything you need to know about building characters is inside this document right now. But if you wanted to, like for example, all these, like the Spellpoint Warlock book that we put out, it's gold medal now. Thank you guys for boosting this to gold status. Holy Hannah. If you were to click on this, it also has a full preview, and it basically breaks down how the mana system works. So you can see here, on a short rest, you're getting 1 point of mana at first level, and then you stack up to 20 points eventually, and then you get a stack of mana Arcanum points that you gain on a long rest. So you can cast your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th level spells. If you want to use 10th level spells, I call Wish a 10th level spell. You don't get access to it till 19th level. It pushes back that wish breaking point another 2 levels. You don't need it at 17th level. 9th level spells are fine. Make Wish a 10th level spell, which you have access to at 19th level. And if you play it that way, then you can continue to expand your mana pool to eventually have 40 mana, which is the amount of mana that you need for a 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th level spell. But if you cut off at 9th level, because these are optional rules. So if you cut off at 9th level, then you don't need more than 30 mana, because 9, 8, 7, 6 equals 30. So you've got your long rest mechanics here, where you've got your Mystic Arcanum paid for, and you have your short rest mana, where you can cast the Pact Magic from level 1 to 5. Again, and you don't have to just cast the highest level spell using this system. You can have as much diversity in casting spells as any other character has. If you're 9th level, you can cast a 3rd level spell as a 3rd, 4th, or 5th level spell by spending 3, 4, or 5 mana. And if you're using hard magic of requiring you to have a red mana for a red spell, then you would go through the process of whenever you refresh your Pact Magic, you gain your mana back. With the Arcanum points, you basically pick a specific color that you want your Mystic Arcanum to be devoted to. So when you when you learn these, when you get this mana, it's always going to be the right color for the Mystic Arcanum that you learn. But that also means that all these points are just a specific color. So you can spend these points instead of on Mystic Arcanum, you can spend them on Pact Magic. So like at 17th level, not only do you have 17 Pact mana on a short rest, but you also have 30 mana on a long rest. And let's say you chose blue just because you wanted to like be a fey creature. So all your Arcanum is blue. That means that as long as you have a blue spell, you could use this Arcanum to power that blue spell. Or if it's a red, like a 3rd level spell, you have your 1 point of red mana over here. And then you've got your long rest mana. You can just put 2 points of whatever that is in, because it doesn't matter anymore. So, but Pact Magic can't buy Arcanum spells, but Arcanum spells can be sacrificed for that long rest mana to be used with your short rest to juice the amount of spells that you need for the day. Like, you don't have to really take, like, you could have Arcanum spells, but you could completely ignore them if you want to, and just juice the hell out of your low level magic by just being able to spam the hell out of them. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play, and all the mechanics that we've been building in this game is allowing you to have this diversity in how you express your character, how do you align their colors to express their alignment or their personality in your game and their goals. And so you are certainly welcome to check all. Again, these are all full free preview books. The core mechanics book gives you like all the mechanics about like concentration, variant, simplified durations, the core setup of the spellcasting classes, all 7 of them. I think there's 7 of them. But then in this new book, if you scroll down, you'll see the revisions that we're making for 2025. And so we will eventually, when it comes up, when it's the next project in line, we'll be building, we will be rebuilding all of these books to use the 2024 mechanics. So that's why I stream here. These are the design things that we do. I build books. Since we have 2024 now, that's probably going to remain the same for a decade. So I can update my Spelljammer book. I can update the Color Mana books. I can update Nature's Ally. I want to update the ability check casting. I want to update all that stuff so it's 2024 compliant, so that we can continue to building on that with the new design sensibilities that we have for 2024. So having said all that, let's step away from pontification and get back into design work. So we are going to be, we're working on the fighter today. Yesterday's stream, if you want to catch that, we were rebuilding the Barbarian. We took care of the 4 subclass, the Barbarian Scaffold, and the subclasses that are in the 2024 PHB. We have the rest of them in the book. We have all the other 6 Forsaken subclasses for the Barbarian. We have them in the book already that we've been rebuilding towards, but I'm working in order of priority. So I'm updating the 2024 mechanics for the Barbarian, the Fighter, the Ranger, the Paladin, the Rogue, the Monk, the Ranger. We'll go through all of those, and then we'll circle back around and we'll take care of all the Forsaken classes, like the 6 Barbarian, like Wild Magic, and like what's another one? The Battle Rager of all things. These are all cool ideas that we can play with and rebuild with 2024 rules using the mana system. And then we'll go back like into the Fighter, like Arcane Archer and stuff like that. The 5 that were Forsaken, we have mechanics for all those. We just want to refine them. So we've been play testing this stuff at 3rd level recently with a slew of people, and we're seeing a bunch of a bunch of opportunities for us to be able to further curate and improve on the system. Just seeing some mechanical flaws here and there that have been cropping up that we have an opportunity to fix. So where are we at in here? This is the 2024 fighter. So let's fold this up and pull open, in case we need it, the 2014 fighter. We'll keep that on deck. But for now, let's grab this, the martial powers here. Here's your basic, just to help further indoctrinate everybody into the system. At the front end here, here's our scaffold. We're all using the monk's short rest mana, or the warlocks. The warlock and the monk have the same short rest of 1 mana per level from 1 to 20. And we have it's half casting progression, so you gain ranks from 1 to 5 at 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. And the power die is a mix of like martial arts die, superiority die, or bardic inspiration die, where when you use a power, it could either boost your damage or boost the results of a d20 test. So the way that your dice, your damage or your d20 test is modified is by the power die that you roll. With attacks, you can have multiple dice added together to compound your damage, like smite. Or if you're modifying a d20 test, you roll only 1 power die. You could like spend 3 mana to roll 3 dice, but you only keep the best result. So you can still stay within that bounded accuracy curve without like having like a plus 53 to your attack roll. Instead, it's like you'd add a d10 at high levels, and if you roll 3 dice, you'll have a better chance of getting a 10. But at some point, there's a depreciating return on results. Like once you get past 2 or 3 mana, you only really need to throw 4 or 5 mana into a single die roll for a d20 test, like if you absolutely have to hit this stupid high number. Otherwise, on average, you're going to get at least half the value of the die roll that you make. Like if you throw 2 mana on a d8, chances are you're going to get like a 4 or 5 on one of them. If you really want to get up to 6 or 7, you probably want to put maybe 3 or even maybe 4 mana into it. But if all you need is like a +5 kick, 2 mana will probably get you there. So that's a balance that you find for yourself in the way that you build your character. How much do you want to rely on building your character up normally to stabilize your die rolls, and how much do you want your mana abilities to come in and select powers like a prepared spell list, prepare powers that let you boost saving throws, ability checks, attack rolls, stuff like that. So those are the ideas. So we'll play with all of those ideas as we go through the book here. We're going to scroll down. Like we spent time on the Barbarian yesterday, so I'll just skip past that and get past all of the 2024 classes are in the book first. And then we get to the Forsaken subclasses, and those are next in alphabetical order, Ancestral Guardians and stuff like that, which the Wild Heart like kind of overrides whatever I can't remember the beast or whatever it was. I can't remember the name of it. The Totem Monk, the Totem Barbarian. The Totem Barbarian is replaced by the Wild Heart, for example. So we would not have that redundancy. We would remove it, but the rest of them we keep. So let's bounce down then to after Barbarian is Fighter. So looking at the Fighter, let's just look at the basic scaffold. So the way this works is that if a class feature has been removed because the martial powers system replaces it, then it's not on the list. Like you don't see weapon masteries on the list. You don't see fighting style on the list, because those are now considered powers that you can prepare. You can prepare feats. You can prepare weapon masteries. You can prepare weapon damage types. Like if you always want to do cold damage, you could prepare a power that lets you always deal weapon damage as cold damage instead. And these things come in at different levels to remain balanced with how the game kind of progresses. And like weapon masteries, the way that this system works is that martial characters always can always use a weapon mastery for a weapon how to word it. If a weapon has a property and you're proficient with that weapon, martial characters can automatically use that mastery. But you can also prepare masteries to use them with weapons that don't naturally have those properties. So if you wanted to have, say, Vex on your heavy crossbow, you could use the push property from the crossbow, or because you have Vex prepared, you could instead attack with that heavy crossbow and apply Vex, giving you advantage on your next attack roll with it. So you can, again, build the optimal combat sequence that you want for your character. So if there's like a specific weapon that you are attuned to that you always want to use, and you don't have to juggle weapons away from your like your Frostbrand, for instance, you have if you have a Frostbrand halberd, for instance, then you have Pam, like you select as a prepared power like Polearm Master, Sentinel, let's say Great Weapon Master is your third feat, and these are all at level 1. And then like you have your origin feat from your character creation, like maybe you take Alert. And now you have a leftover power open. You could take something that requires mana, but you could also take like that halberd is going to have it has cleave. So if you hit with an attack and there's another creature within 5 feet, you could attack them for free as well. Or you could replace that cleave property, you could use Topple. I'm going to prepare Topple, so when I hit you with a Pam attack opportunity to keep you in place, not only am I going to keep you in place, but now I can use the Topple mastery to knock you prone and reduce your speed to 0. So not only are you getting knocked over, you're staying prone until the beginning of your target's next turn. That is a great weapon combo that you can set up by preparing it as though they're these are like basically cantrips that you're setting up to use with your weapons. The weapon mastery system is basically martial cantrips, right? So if you give your martial characters, the breadth of being able to just use the masteries that are naturally properties of the weapons they're proficient with, then you start opening up more options of I love Topple, I love Push. You can topple somebody with a dagger. All you gotta do is slit their Achilles tendon and give them a nudge. They're going to fall over. You could use a punch dagger to push somebody 10 feet if you wanted to. All you got to do is punch them in the shoulder. They're going to drop back, or hit them in the hip, and they're going to be forced to take a step back. It allows you to have more narrative depth in combat. It's like, how do you keep combat from being boring? Pick up a shitload of weapon masteries that you can change on the fly with the weapon you're using, and now you can describe how you're using your weapon differently in a tactical way to have like this Topple effect go in. Like, how can I make Topple go into effect? Like I said, I slit his Achilles tendon. He falls over screaming in pain. Okay, great. I follow that up. I have advantage on my next attack because he's gone prone. I sink the blade into his face. He stops screaming. Thank you. Like, these are things that you can set up for yourself, because now there's enough mechanical depth inside the 5e24 book for you to do more than I swing my sword and I hit. Then it gets boring. I have Vex. I swing my sword, and as a result of hitting them, I knock them off balance. It completely opens themselves up for my next attack. I do so. I hit them with Push. Their belly gets exposed. I slam the blade into their gut, and it makes them reel back 5 feet, like that. So you can become as narrative in description naturally with what the weapons mechanically are doing to be able to keep stride with how the DM is explaining how things happen with the mechanics of the monsters. Hopefully that makes sense. Wizards really did a great favor for the narrative people out there that want to be able to use these things and have interesting combat. It doesn't take a lot extra to be able to say how you're angling people or knocking them off balance or disrupting their actions to take advantage of them, as it were. So that's the idea there. So like I said, you could just stack out. You don't have to use your mana. Like, if you want to keep your game simple because the Battle Master is too complicated for the, I guess, IQ 90 people that they apparently are trying to advertise this game to. Like, if you understand how this game works, you understand how superiority dice and weapon masteries work. But if Wizards has the evidence that says, yeah, most people don't want to bother with complicated martials, well, great. Then don't worry about using your mana. Instead, this is a prepared power list of how many feats you can have. So when you get to 4th level, you can actually increase your stats. Like, if you want a multi-class and you're using standard array, you actually need ability score improvements to get into multi-classing. So you can actually use your ASI to improve your stats, because you have, over the course of 20 levels, 23 prepared powers that do not require mana if you don't want to. And then you get a stack of bonus, like the Battle Master. Here's all the bonus powers you get on top of the 23 that you get off of the character. So you're getting the same amount of options that like the wizard, the cleric, the druid, the bard get in 2024 as well, because they get all like around 30 spells too. So this is 30 things, which includes your feats, your fighting style, your weapon mastery, your damage types, and anything that you want to spend mana on along the way. So those are those ideas. Just to further geek out on you guys before we proceed, this is something I need to mention every time, which is empowered actions. This is you can generate mana during your turn in combat. So there's 3 gears in D&D, and I talk about this a lot. The 3 gears of play, obviously you have the social interaction, you have exploration, and you have combat. Those are the 3 pillars of play, but they're also the 3 gears of drive in which the 5e game engine moves. So social interaction doesn't require any die rolls at all. If it sounds cool, it's a conversation or description of what's going on, and if your character, if the DM agrees, it happens, no questions asked. That's how the Bastion system in the 5e24 DMG is set up. It's a player-facing mechanic, but it's all social interaction because there's very little die rolls, if any at all, necessary for you to utilize the Bastion system as presented in the 5e24 book. The second gear is exploration, which is generally resolved with an ability to, like a D20 test or like a skill challenge. Even though they drop skill challenges from the 5e24 book, anytime a group of people are attempting actions, then it's going to be a D20 test. It doesn't necessarily have a time frame. Like you could research a spell for 10 days, and at the end of that, you make a D20 test to see if you pass. Or, hey, we're about to go into initiative, make an initiative roll, and that's basically a D20 test where passing equals higher result than your enemies, so you get to go first. So that's the gear, like social interaction, like where you're interrogating somebody, climbing a mountain, searching a room, disabling a trap. If there's no initiative counter rattling off rounds of combat, then you technically have as long as you need, as long as the DM says it takes. So it's this in-between gear of being in drive and having dice make partial decisions or modify the actions that you're taking. And then the third gear, hey Micah, right on man. The third gear is combat, which is action economy per 6 seconds. And instead of it just being a loosey-goosey D20 test, and that could represent climbing over a mountain or surviving a snowstorm, it could last hours, days, months, depending on what the task is. Single die roll, no real calibration there. But the third gear of play in the 5e game engine is combat, where you have a finite 6-second period of time, and inside of that period of time, you have movement, object interaction, reactions taking place outside of your own turn, but still inside of that phase of combat, as well as the action, which can be broken into the attack action, which can then be subdivided into multiple attacks depending on what your character is. So you have all these degrees of action economy that take place during a single unit of time, 6 seconds. That's why combat takes so long in D&D, because it used to be in the old days of Beck Me in first edition, for the most part, you only had like the ability check. The D20 test that you would make would be your attack roll, and if you hit, you roll an extra die for damage. Your turn is over, next guy, and like 2 minutes later, it's your turn again. They go incredibly quick because back in ye olden days, there was only 2 gears: social interaction and D20 test or the exploration pillar. Those are the only 2 gears that you had. Wizards introduced the third gear of high action economy inside of combat. Like there were no reactions in first and second edition. There were you eventually could get multiple attacks, but it was just 2 attacks and damage. You just roll all the dice at the same time. It's like, okay, 1 hit and here's the damage, and you're done. And it moves on. It takes 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes to get back around to your turn when you add in extra attacks like that in second edition. But it's all very, very simple. And when Wizards took over with 3rd edition and 4th edition and 5th edition, they built the game into your character became a deck building game. You have 20 cards in your deck, and what cards do you want to have in that deck to be able to make a play that gives your character the ability to express themselves the way that you want to, right? Pathfinder and then Pathfinder 2e took that idea and ran with it, while Wizards 4th edition and 4th edition basically had constructed decks where these are the only types of cards that can be in your fighter deck. Where in 3rd edition was, here's some fighter cards, here's some wizard cards, and now you can toss on this booster pack of prestige classes, like say an Eldritch, like an Eldritch Knight. That's your prestige class that's taking elements of fighter and elements of wizard to combine together to make this Gish combo, right? So that's how the system works in general. Checking my stream. I think I'm still active. Yeah, cool. And so the way that, hold on, let's get back into that. So the way that, where am I? Here. So the way that the, nope, that's not it. Here. The way that the empowered actions work is during combat, when you have all of this high fidelity action economy to expend in 6 seconds, you can sacrifice actions to generate free mana that you can then spend on powers. So if you sacrifice movement, kind of like the rogue can sacrifice their movement for steady aim. If you don't move, you get advantage on your next attack by spending your bonus action. With this system, if you don't move, you can generate a free point of mana that a rogue could spend as a bonus action to gain advantage on an attack roll. But you could also expend your bonus action. If you don't use your bonus action, depending on what level you are, you gain additional free mana to then spend. So I could theoretically give up my bonus action at 17th, like a 17th level fighter has 3 attacks as the attack action. If I sacrifice my movement because I'm already where I need to be, and I sacrifice my bonus action because I don't have a better plan, I could gain at 17th level, I could gain 4 points of free mana that I could then spend on powers during my attack actions. I have 3 attacks. I just gave myself 4 free points of mana. I could juice some of my attacks. I could juice the damage on the attacks. I can add in kicker effects to disrupt people during those actions. If I set up my combo correctly, I could spend a point of mana to trigger a reaction off of my own actions. Like if I knock you prone, I could use downtrodding, which is a reaction that triggers whenever a target within reach of your weapon is knocked prone, which I did. I can then use my reaction to give them an opportunity attack. So I could use a point of mana to make an attack action. I could boost that attack with increased damage from my mana, like say another 2 points. I used the topple mastery if I wanted to knock them prone, and then I could use my 4th point of free mana to make an opportunity attack because they got knocked prone. And I literally spent 0 mana out of my mana pool, still made 3 attacks, and used my reaction to hit again. So that's that's like one of like a billion different combos that you can set up for your character. So this is all really built off of the Book of 9 Swords from 3rd edition, if you're familiar with it. If you're not, a lot of those ideas exist inside of here, but this whole book is built around 5e and now 5e24 sensibilities. That's what we've been converting to. The playtest has been going along great. We've got the people that never ran into this are playing it. It's taking them maybe a read or 2 in a game to really grok what they can get into, and now we've got players that are starting to explore different builds, like how can I pull this apart and put it back together to do different things. Super fun stuff, definitely worth checking out. Again, the document's free to view. It's read only for now, and here it is. And once it goes up on the DMsGuild, like I showed you, all my books on the DMsGuild are free previews, so you'll even be able to read it then. You basically buy my books to encourage more behavior. So if you want me to keep building stuff like this, consider making a purchase just to give me a word up. If you do, give me a 5-star review if you think it was cool, because why else would you buy it? So thanks. So that's, and then we have all the powers, like all the powers are at the front end of the book. The exploits, which modify actions, maneuvers, which are like point-click effects that you could use as an action or a bonus action or twice in the same round if you want to. Reactions, self-explanatory. Trigger condition equals reaction, spend mana, do thing. Strikes are like the 5e14 smite abilities, where when you hit something, you then spend mana to deal extra damage and cause a condition effect. Weapon masteries are considered cantrips, while strikes are considered spells. So if you're using a mastery for free, you can't kick it with a strike. If you're spending mana on a strike, you can't kick it with a mastery unless, like the Tavern Brawler feat, for example, that triggers that triggers push regardless of what you're doing otherwise. So that's a way for you to get an extra effect. There's also strikes in here that let you double down. Like you use this strike and it lets you use a mastery on top of it. or like the Paladin's ability to be able to stack smite effects by spending extra mana. These are all things that you can play with, and we'll be looking at all those things as we go through the fighter conversion. And then sustained powers are like self-buffing concentration effects that you can stack. So a 17th level character has 5th rank powers, or like 5th level spells. So you can stack up to 5 mana worth of sustained effects, whether that's 5 first rank powers, or like a 3rd and a 2nd rank power, or like a 4th and a 1st rank power, or like 2 2nd rank powers and a 1st rank power. You can mix and match them together to build the kind of character options that you want, and you don't have to maintain concentration on them. The balance is calibrated with the mana and the effects, so that at that level, this is something that's reasonable to put on your character. And at higher levels, adding these things up together doesn't break the game any more than what spellcasters would normally be able to put on you 100 feet away, and they're concentrating behind a rock, and while you're going through and hasting stuff without any risk of losing the spell because your wizard's hidden, right? So that's like a way that you cheat around that concentration mechanic. Make your concentrator indestructible so that they can't get targeted, so that your martial characters can have buff spells on them and tear up your enemies with your support crew concentrating on you. This allows you to become self-sufficient so that your casters can focus on other things without having to worry about your concentration getting broken. So we'll go through these things and check them out as we play. So that's just the precursor on like the quick rundown of how this stuff works. And again, you can look at all this stuff in your free time. Let me know if you think it's cool, what you like about it. Jump in my Discord server, link down below if you want to sharpen your knives and get involved. So, like I was saying, there's no fighting style listed because those are prepared powers. There's no weapon masteries listed because those are also prepared powers. But we still have like the channeling feature, which is using martial power. And second wind still exists and is fun. Tactical recovery still exists. It is fun. Action surge, tactical mind, fighting subclass, extra attack, tactical shift. These are things that all still exist inside the game. And again, if it's listed here, it still exists. If it's not detailed down here, it's unchanged from the player's handbook. If it's listed on the player's handbook and it's not here, then it's been removed because of something. Typically because what we have in the system supersedes and improves on what that idea was. Like the weapon masteries. That has become a universal system for martial characters. It is no longer needed to be pointed out specifically. It's just folded into what your character can do. So again, prepared powers, 4 to 23 of them. You gain 10 extra over the course of your subclass. Max rank scales with the half casting, 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. The amount of mana you get, short rest, 1 to 20 based on your level. You get it back on a short rest or long rest. Second winds, you still get second winds. Keep at it. And your power die is D6 through D10. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. So let's take a look real quick here into the quick features to see if there's any change in language that's cropping up that we need to pay attention to. So we got we only have half a page worth of things that need to be updated, and then we'll get into Battlemaster, etc. So, mana. At first level, you gain one point of mana. You gain 1 additional point of mana every level with a maximum of 20 at 20th level, which are regained when you finish a short or long rest. Beginning at first level, you learn 4 first rank powers from the martial power list. You gain additional powers as you gain levels up to your maximum channeling rank as listed in the martial power progression table. You can swap 1 prepared power for another when you finish a long rest, and you can swap all prepared powers when you gain a level. The saving throw is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus either your strength, dexterity, or intelligence, whichever one you prefer most. And then tactical recovery, also gained at first level. When you activate second wind, rather than regaining hit points, you can instead choose to regain a number of mana equal to the max rank of power that you've gained as a fighter. So at first level, you only have first rank. By 5th level, you have second rank as a fighter. Let's say you multi-classed. Say you go Fighter 3, Barbarian 2. Horrible build, but let's say that you decided to do that. You do that, you now have 5 levels between Barbarian and Fighter. As a multi-class character at 5th level, you can channel up to 2 mana, but because neither class reached 5th level individually, the max rank of power that you can prepare is first. So you've got 5th rank. You're effectively a 5th level channeler with between 3 levels of fighter and 2 levels of barbarian. You have 5 mana, which is the same for multi-classing or single class, both of which have first rank powers that you learn, but you can channel up to 2 mana on either one, on any of them that you learn. But you can't learn beyond first rank until one of your individual classes hits the threshold. So a 5th level fighter, 2nd level barbarian would have 7 mana, would be able to would be able to channel 2nd rank powers. And as long as you're gaining levels in fighter, you'll be able to continue to gain additional prepared powers that are 2nd or even higher level in the future. But a first level, like if you were 5/2 fighter barbarian and you gained a level of barbarian to 3, barbarian can only pick up first rank powers. So if you prepared a new power, it would have to be a first, like, because you gained a level, it would have to be a first rank power. When you swap over all of your levels, you do have access to 2nd level as a fighter, but you did not gain a level as a fighter. So if you swap out all of your abilities, you would have to swap them all out for first level powers because you're barbarian. But you can change 1 power every long rest. So if you didn't want to change all your powers, just ditch all your first level powers. You would have to do that when you gain a level as a fighter, or when your barbarian gains 2nd level as a fighter. All of them could then be 2nd level spells, 2nd level powers. So the multi-classing works mostly together, and it's designed to curve into each other. But again, you are restricted on what kind of powers you can learn based on what's the maximum rank that you've gained in any individual class. Spell casting doesn't progress your power curve at all, and martial powers don't progress spell casting at all. So a 10th level wizard, 1st level fighter would have like 30 mana in the mana pool, but you can only spend it 1 point of a time if you're using it to juice your, like if you had a Gish, like, yeah, 10 wizard, 1 fighter, you'll have a ton of mana to spend, but you can only spend it 1 point at a time. So it might not be, like, that's not an optimal build. You'll have a ton of mana, sure, but you can't do anything with it bursty unless you're casting wizard spells. So fun balancing there. Fun balancing. So that was the tactical recovery. When you use 2nd wind, you can regain a number of mana equal to the max rank gained as a fighter. So specializing as a single class fighter, taking you up to 17th level, will allow you to gain 5 mana whenever you use the 2nd wind. And at 17th level, you've got 4 uses of 2nd wind. So you can get a ton of mana. By 17th level, you would have 17 that comes to you on a short rest. Plus, if you blow all your 2nd winds, you get a total of extra 20 mana per day that way. So just the amount of mana you can gain is crazy. So tactical recovery, when you activate 2nd wind, rather than gaining hit points, you can regain a number of mana equal to the max rank of power gained as a fighter. Indomitable power, if you fail, and you get a 2nd wind back whenever you finish a short rest. So even after you've spent like all 4 2nd winds, you take a point of rest, you get your 17 mana back at 7th level, and you get another use of a 2nd wind. So you can kick out a ton of 5th rank things, which is either extra damage, which we're seeing in the monster manual leaks. The damage at high level has just been spiked like crazy. So you can actually make use of that extra damage that you're dealing, but it also lets you spam out cool maneuvers or reaction effects or put a lot of different types of sustained powers on yourself without having to worry about ever running out of mana. So you can't use a ton of mana at once like the casters can, because they get all theirs on a long rest, a huge pool on a long rest that they can just like spam super high level damaging stuff. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 mana at a pop, while your martial characters are going to be rolling more like around 4 or 5 points of mana a pop during the rounds of combat. So yeah, fun balancing points. Indomitable power at 9th level, if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it, and including any power dice with a bonus equal to your fighter level. So you must use the new result, and you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. So, and then you can get it twice at 13th and then 3 times at 17th level. So if you were to throw 3 mana into modifying a saving throw and you still failed, you can pop your indomitable power, re-roll your d20, and re-roll your like at 9th level would be a d8. So then you could also re-roll your d8s to see which d8 is best and couple it with your new d20, and that becomes your new result plus your fighter levels. It's almost impossible to not hit the saving throw that way, which is perfect because that's the way that you want indomitable power to be. So those are all the actual revisions that we're having to worry about. Just to look again at some of the features that still exist, like for Second Wind, you can use this feature twice. You gain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and you gain all of them on a long rest, and you gain more as you gain levels. We replaced the weapon mastery. Tactical Mind still exists. Let's go down there to Tactical Mind at 2nd level. You have a mind for tactics on and off battlefield. When you fail an ability check, you can expend a use of your Second Wind to push yourself towards success. Rather than regaining hit points, you roll a d10 and add the number rolled to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. If the check still fails, the use of Second Wind isn't expended. I love that mechanic. So this is, again, this works perfectly fine as is. We just added another kicker effect for tactical recovery. So Tactical Mind still works as intended. Action Surge still works as intended. If you take the attack action with your Action Surge, say you're an 11th level fighter, you pop Action Surge, you gain an extra attack action. You can then cash in all 3 of those attacks to generate an extra 3 mana that you could also cash out with your bonus action for an extra 2 mana, which you could also cash out with your movement for an extra point of mana. Using Action Surge at 11th level, you can generate a total of 6 mana that you could then spend for free across 3 attacks when you take the attack action with your normal action. So you can juice the hell out of stuff, and then you could, if you wanted to pull more mana, you could then dip into your mana pool to start burning through that, and then use Second Wind to recover it. So uses and action sequences. Let's see, the Tactical Shift. Where are you at? Tactical Shift. When you activate your Second Wind as a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. So that is a different use of your Second Wind using a bonus action. And then Tactical Master, Tactical Shift, and Dominable, 3 attacks, Epic Boon, Action Surge, studied attacks exists, but Tactical Master has been removed. And what Tactical Master was that you can use the push, sap, or slow properties for attacks if you want to, instead of the weapon masters that naturally exist. But we're gaining all these free tactical options from our character list, so we remove this as unnecessary bloat, because being able to select any masteries to use with a weapon, not just these 3, our ability is superseding that and granted you the built-in resource supply to be able to implement this, picking up these 3 tactical options, these 3 masteries, as early as level 1 if you wanted them. So this is already in effect and becomes redundant, so we removed it. That's a good example of things that we removed. We talked about Indomitable Power, which we swapped in. Then there's Studied Attacks, which is you study your opponent and learn from each attack you make. If you make an attack roll against a creature and miss, you have advantage on the next attack roll against the same creature before the end of the next turn. There's no reason for that to change. It still works perfectly fine. And then there is, yeah, and that's all the features. So Epic Boon still works as written. Cheers, all that stuff. Those are the features of the fighter. So having said all that, archetypes break those rules. So again, fighters gain all their subclass features with the below modifications. If a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged as written in the player's handbook. So Battle Master, this is the superiority die system, which is replaced with our power die. So we already have a power die. Let's go find our power die. Here we go, power dice. So it starts with a D6. By the time you get to 3rd level, you can become a Battle Master. And then at 9th level, you get a D8. And then at 17th level, you get a D10, right? Well, let's look at how the Battle Master works. We always get 10 bonus powers that are added to your list. And it reads as like reaction, like anticipate as react. And we'll go through each of these powers after we go. First thing we do is we go through the features, and then we look at the powers at the end of it. So we have context for why these powers are cool when you get access to this stuff. So you'll see that, and then we'll go through the description of each of them here in the document so you know what it is that they do. A lot of these are going to sound a lot of these are going to look really familiar to you because most of the powers that we have in here are deconstructed features from other classes and spell options, feat options, masteries. It's basically pulling from those different ideas and then rebuilding them into this mana curve system. So virtually everything that's inside of this book already exists inside of 5e in one form or another. We're just extracting, distilling, and then reintroducing it into the game system using a mana system, so that the mana can become the core resource for all of your characters in the game, which was the major objective of this project. So looking at this, combat superiority, right? Superiority dice is something that the Battle Master normally gets, but now all martial characters get superiority dice, right? So how does the fighters, what makes the Battle Master better? So combat superiority, when you take this archetype, your power die increases from a d6 to a d8. At 9th level, you don't have a d8, you have a d10. And at 17th level, you don't have a d10, you have a d12. So your character is stronger, better at performing maneuvers and using superiority dice than any other fighter in the game. So that's your core feature. At 3rd, the combat superiority dice, juicing your ability to use the powers that you select already. And then you have Student of War, which is you gain the skilled feat. But you must choose one artisan tool from one of the 3 skills or tools that are selected. And in addition, as a 1-minute meditation, you can swap a prepared power for a new one. And you can do this once, regaining it when you finish a short or long rest. Like I said at the beginning, most fighters, they can change one power that they know every long rest, and all of their powers when you gain a level. But the Battle Master is so strong that whenever they're basically every short rest, they can swap one ability that they have for a new one. So they can, because all the prepared powers, it's on a list that you're aware of. But then you choose, again, like clerics, you prepare which ones you want. So the Battle Master really leans into that idea. So rereading the language just to make sure everything is copacetic. In addition, as a 1-minute meditation, you can swap a prepared power for a new one. You can do this once, regaining it when you finish a short or a long rest. There you go. So basically, between fights, hey, give me a minute. I've got an idea. I can use this. Or after you finish a fight, maybe you guys find a bunch of traps or a locked door or something, and you don't have a skill monkey with you. Maybe you decide to pick up proficiency with, like one of the powers, you could become proficient with lockpicks. So keep lockpicks on you, but you don't use them until you empower yourself with the ability to use them. Now I can use the lockpicks with my magic, and I use my magic to pick the lock, and we're good to go. Don't need a rogue unless we want to. So we're diversifying the pool by allowing anybody to become a skill monkey. The rogue and bard are naturally skill monkeys, so they don't have to dedicate any resources to do it. But now you don't have to worry about actually having one on your team to be able to fully function. So that's the idea there. Level 7, know your enemies. As a bonus action, you can use the study action, targeting a creature within 30 feet of yourself. No d20 test needed. You learn if that creature has any immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, or lethalities, and you regain this feature when you finish a long rest or expend 1 mana. No action required to do so. Let's see. You learn. You use this. Yeah, you regain this feature when you finish a long rest. So glancing at somebody. Immunities, they can't take damage from that source. Resistance, they take half damage from that source. Vulnerabilities, they take double damage from that source. Lethalities, they die with 1 point of damage from that source. You can make any creature in the game into a minion by assigning a lethality to that character. Like ogres are CR2, and they are really freaking dangerous from level 1, 2, 3, but by the time you hit 5th, 6th, 7th level, they start to become less of a threat. So you could start assigning, relative to your character's existence in the game, ogres could then gain vulnerability to every attack that your characters make. They die quickly, twice as fast as you would expect them to. And by the time you get to 3rd tier, like level 11 plus, now ogres have lethality against anything that you dish out. So if you hit them with a mob of ogres, they'll be able to one-shot every single ogre that they run across because they've become minions by giving them lethalities. So that's always comparable to your character's abilities. Hey, I'm going to check out this monster's like immunities, vulnerabilities, resistances. Tell me about it. Well, that ogre is vulnerable to all of your attacks, but they have immunity to acid. Okay, great. Well, now I know that. I know not to use acid, and we'll be able to knock these guys down quickly. I'm a level fighter. That makes sense. Why not? So that's how that works. 10th level, Master of Arms. It replaces the improved combat mastery. Choose 5 combat masteries. These don't count against the total number of masteries that you can prepare. You can swap any number of these masteries when you finish a short or long rest. In addition, when you finish a short rest, you can now swap a number of prepared powers for new ones equal to the max rank of power that you've gained as a fighter. So at level 10, you have access to 3rd rank powers. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can swap 3 powers that you know. There you go. Highly versatile characters, so you can adapt yourself. Basically, that the battle master adapts to the situation on an hourly basis. I should reword that though. That's not, in addition, when you Student of War replaces improved combat mastery. Let's see. Choose 5. Let's reword that. You become a more diligent student of war. Choose 5 combat masteries. These don't count against the total number of masteries you prepare. You can swap any number of these masteries when you finish a short or long rest. In addition, your 1 minute meditation your 1 minute your 1 minute meditation can now swap a number of prepared powers for new ones equal to the max rank of power you have gained as a fighter. And again, 10th level, 3 powers. You become more diligent, student of war. Choose 5 combat masteries. These don't count against the total number of masteries you prepare. And you can swap any number of these masteries during your 1 minute of meditation. How do I word that? As a 1 minute meditation, we can swap that. That goes with you become a more diligent student of war. Choose 5 combat masteries. These don't count against the total number of masteries you prepare. And when you use the student of war feature to meditate, you can swap any number of these masteries during. You can swap any number of these masteries for different ones. And we have 13 masteries in total that are listed, and we can take a look at those in a second. In addition, while meditating, In addition, during your meditation, you can now, during your 1 minute meditation, you can now swap a number of prepared powers for new ones equal to the max rank of power you have gained as a fighter. So that is a massive glam up for the student of war. And hey, Francois, how you doing? Where are we at? We are in the Martial Powers document. Again, you can click through on that right here for Martial Powers playtest document. And we are rebuilding the fighter right now. So we've gone through the fighter scaffold. Previously till now, we've already built out basically like alpha drafts of all of the subclasses. But now that we've been having some playtesting in the mega dungeon that we've been running on my Discord channel, we're getting some feedback on how we can make revisions. So that is warranting us to go through all of the classes, all of the subclasses, to make sure that the design principles that are present here are still jiving with the direction that we're seeing playtesting going in. So I'll be here for another hour and a half or so. So we should be able to clip through the 4 subclasses that are in the 2024 book, just like we did with Barbarian yesterday. We'll be working on the Bastion campaigns again tomorrow night in my Thursday night stream. And then Friday lunch, we're going to come back. And no, tomorrow's Wednesday. I won't be on at lunchtime tomorrow because I play D&D with my coworkers. But yeah, Thursday night I'll be back on stream for the Bastion campaigns, and then Friday lunch we'll be back here again, and we'll be going in on the monks. So, where are we at? Let's see. Student of War, right? Figured that out. Know your enemies. Figured that out. Master of Arms. Figured that out. Superior Maneuvers replaces Relentless. So when you take the attack action, you can forgo an attack instead. When you take the attack action, normally you can sacrifice an action to generate a point of mana that you would use to generate mana for attacks. Hold on, let me see how that's worded, because I think that's the next thing that we need to fix. Quite actually, here, combat masteries. Here, attacks. When you take the attack action, instead of making an attack, you can generate 1 point of temporary mana. When you take the attack action, instead of making an attack, you can generate 1 point of temporary mana. If you haven't, the extra attack feature, when you take the attack action, instead of making a second, third, or fourth attack, you can generate 1 point of temporary mana each. Let's see. When you take the attack action, instead of making an attack, I can simplify this. When you take the attack action, instead of making an attack, you can generate 1 point of temporary mana. For each attack you forego. If you have the extra attack feature, when you take the attack action instead, nor does it include attacks again. Let's see. How do I want to word this? This does not. This does not include additional attacks that you gain from the Nick or Cleave weapon mastery properties, attacks gained from the celerity power or from haste, from the haste spell or the celerity power or similar effects. Haste spell, the celerity power, comma, the celerity power, comma, or similar effects, nor does it include attacks gained as a bonus action, such as the Monk's Flurry of Blows feature, nor can opportunity attacks be sacrificed during a reaction unless a feature or a power specifically says so. If you have extra attacks during the attack action, you can choose to sacrifice each attack separately, all at once, or any other combination. Actions can be spent at any time during your turn. For example, an 11th level fighter with 3 attacks can sacrifice all 3 immediately to gain 3 points of temporary mana, perhaps to channel a 3rd rank maneuver as a bonus action. Alternatively, a 5th level fighter can make an attack, and if it hits, you can sacrifice the remaining attack and use your bonus action to gain temporary points of mana that you can then channel as a 2nd level strike to increase the damage of the current attack. So there you go. And then there's type of power. So that simplifies that. So now that we simplified that, what does that say about the superior maneuvers? When you take the attack action, you can forgo an attack. Oh, there it is. You can forgo when you take the attack action, you can forgo an attack to instead channel a maneuver, gaining 1 point of temporary mana when you do so. No. Let's see. You can forgo. When you take the attack action, you can forgo an attack to instead channel a maneuver. Period. You can forgo any number of attacks this way, channeling a separate maneuver with each attack sacrificed. Each. When you take the attack action, that's at level 15. I'm going to change that. You can forgo 2 attacks to instead channel a maneuver. At 20th level, you can sacrifice all 4 attacks to instead channel 2 maneuvers separately. There you go. Unparalleled power. Whenever you roll any power dice, replace all results of 1 to 5 with a 6. This augments or overrides the dire impact power that allows you to add extra damage, and the minimum die roll on damage rolls for here. Let's go look at that real quick, because that's about what we're about to get into anyway, is looking at powers. Dire impact is the 1st rank sustained power. Let's go look at it. Dire impact says, I'll catch it with you in a second. While sustaining this power, you can add 1 plus your max rank of power to your weapon. So at, say, 17th level, 5 ranks of power equals a +6 to all weapon damage rolls. In addition, when you roll 1 or more power dice to deal damage, any power die that rolls below your max rank of power increases the result to that roll to equal your max rank of power. So if I'm rolling a D10 at 17th level, and I have Dire Impact active, whenever I roll power dice to deal extra damage, if any of those D10s, if they're less than a 5, they become a 5, because my max rank of power at 17th is 5. However, the Battle Master overrides this. Dire Impact is still useful because you'd still get the +6 damage for every attack, which is nothing to sneeze at. However, whenever you roll any dice, you replace it because your power die for the Battle Master at 17th level is a D12, not a D6. So we're pointing out specifically here that anytime you roll a power die, not just for damage, but D20 tests or whatever reason you're rolling it, if you roll less than a 6, it's a 6. So there you go. Give up maneuvers for extra attack. There's already a maneuver that gives you an extra attack. So yeah, we have that already. It's one of the abilities that's assigned. And a higher level ability is like Flurry of Blows, give up your bonus action to get 2 attacks. So yeah, it already exists. We're there with you. There's 170 some odd powers that are in this book. We cover a ton of ground. So bonus maneuvers, and maneuvers can be used as actions or bonus actions usually. But again, the Battle Master can give up 2 attacks to gain a maneuver. So you could have at 20th level, 2 attacks, 2 attacks. That's 2 maneuvers as your action. And then your bonus action, a Battle Master can perform 3 maneuvers in the same turn. And then you have Action Surge, which could give you 4 more attacks as a 20th level fighter. So that could take you up to 5 maneuvers in one turn. If you're going to blow, that's going to be a lot of mana you're going to throw. But you have a ton of mana to throw at high level. That is a really good Nova Burst. So comparable to a 17th level caster potentially. Let's look at it real quick. We're looking at bonus attack. Bonus attack, make a weapon attack. There you go. And it's maneuver, so it can be as an action or as a bonus action. And then kicker effects are extra mana that you can spend despite, like normally you can only spend as much mana equal to your max rate of power. So first level character can only spend 1 point of mana at a time. 5th level character can spend up to 2 mana on any individual power. But kickers are considered like an exploit that modifies the maneuver, so you can spend mana on that as well. So kicker effect, spend 1 point of mana to gain advantage with that attack. This is like bonus attack. The bonus attack maneuver is something that like a rogue would naturally want to be able to pick up, because you could stand still to generate a point of mana that you could then use as a bonus action to make an attack with advantage, thus potentially hitting with a sneak attack, and that leaves your actual action open for you to do whatever else it is that you want to do. So there's different ways to play with that sequence. And then at 3rd level, is it 3rd level or is it 2nd level? Hold on. Double strike. There we go. Level 2, double strike. You can make 2 attacks, but you don't get the advantage automatically with it. You just get 2 attacks, and it's worth 2 mana. Where the attack with the kicker effect would effectively be worth 2 mana for 1 attack with advantage, or you make 2 attacks, but you don't have advantage. So let's see. Yeah, that's how that works. And so that's the Battle Master, and I think those are some pretty I like that change to superiority. That was bugging me. I knew we'd come around to it eventually, so I'm really happy with that. Let's see. You can take the attack action. You can forego 2 attacks to when you take the attack action, which of course you can do with your action surge. So now that we got that figured out, let's go through the list of powers to make sure that everything is still copacetic, and just to take a look at what they are. So we'll start off with Anticipate, which is a reaction. A reaction for 1 point. As a reaction to when a creature within range of your weapon attack, and if you were talking about a ranged weapon, that typically means 30 feet or less. So as a reaction to when a creature within range of your weapon attack that you can see makes an attack, before they roll to hit, you can make an attack against it, which could potentially disqualify the attack action. Like you could knock them in, like you could use push or like Thundering Strike to push them into a position where they no longer have line of sight with their target, so they can't make their attack anymore. Or you could just outright kill them before they make their attack. Best defense is a strong offense sometimes. So that's how Anticipate works. Coordinated Attack, that's a maneuver that came from the Battle Master list originally. We rebuilt it so that it jives with the mana system. So the way that Coordinated Attack now works is Coordinated Attack. You can empower 1 ally per mana channeled this way that can see or hear you to use their reaction to make an attack. Rolling 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to the attack against a target you and your ally can see. So if I spent 5 mana on this, I could have up to 5 allies make an attack against the same target. I'd have to be 17th level to throw that kind of mana. And if I'm a Battle Master, that means a D12. So I'd roll 5 12-sided dice and I'd keep the best result. That result you would then add to all the attacks of your allies that are using their reaction to target the target that you're coordinating against. So I've used Coordinated Attack so many times in playtests. It is just a great base ability. Especially if you're standing still anyway, you can generate the free mana to issue an order for an ally to burn their reaction to go attack something with a big advantage. So if they're in a good position, and like this works great with a barbarian that could be using reckless attack feature and then forgo reckless attack so that they can gain the free mana to generate extra damage for free, but they lose the advantage, right? So if you're coordinating an attack with your allies, no, wait, that doesn't work because it's during their, because that barbarian stuff only works during their turn. So never mind. But your barbarian is typically doing a lot of damage, so it still would work. It'd just be anybody. Maybe the rogue would be a better one to suggest because they can gain sneak attack again off of their turn, and if they have advantage, then you would be setting them up to be even more easy to hit their opponent. So, sorry, bad example there, but rogue's a good recovery. So that's coordinated attack, and then at 5th level you get cooperative effort, which is also a maneuver. And is that cooperative effort? Where is that? Does that exist anymore? No, it doesn't. But I think we have an exploit that covers that. Empower synergy, random attack, overrun. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's an exploit, not a maneuver. So exploits modify actions you're already taking, while maneuvers require either a bonus action or an action to perform itself. So cooperative effort. When using the help action to grant advantage to the ability, check, or attack of an ally within 60 feet of you, roll 1 power die per mana channel, adding the highest result to the ally's die roll. So I'm helping you to get advantage. That's how I'm using my action, help. And now I'm going to throw at least 1 point of mana into it because it's a 1 mana ability, which means like at 1st level, the Battle Master would be rolling a d8, and I help you, give you advantage, and for the point of mana, I'm now giving you a d8 bonus to that roll as well. So it makes it really easy for you to succeed. Very useful out of combat. So you can use the help action both in and out of combat. Anytime you want to use help, you can just pop a point of mana and give them an extra boost, like Bless. Like the Bless spell gives you a boost. So that's cooperative effort. Disarming Strike is the first strike that we make use of. So let's go look at Disarming Strike. Disarming Strike. Let's see, Disarming Strike, your weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 power die per mana channeled. Expended should be the right word. Per mana expended. And the target must make a strength saving throw with disadvantage against your channeling DC. Adding the result of the highest power die rolled. Because, like, say if you deal, say, 3 points, if you're 9th level and you put 3 mana into this for a Battle Master, add an extra 3d10 damage to the attack, you would then, whatever the best result of those 3d10 is, that would also be added to the DC that your target is making at disadvantage to keep hold of that weapon. So the object lands at a location you choose within 10 feet of the target per mana expended. Per mana expended this way. Targeting an item held in 2 or more hands rolls without disadvantage. So I hit you. My DC is going to be 8 plus proficiency bonus plus either my strength, dexterity, or intelligence, my choice. So let's say it's a +4 bonus probably. So 1st level, 2, 4 at 6 plus the d20. Plus a Battle Master at 3rd level has a d8. Let's say you roll a 5 on average. So that's going to be +11. So you're going to have a d20 plus 11, and they're going to roll at disadvantage. It's 8 plus 11. That's a 19. So your enemy is going to roll a DC 19 at disadvantage strength saving throw to keep that thing in their hand. If they fail with, like, say, 1 point of mana, it's going to land up to 10 feet away, which could be on the other side of you. So they'll have to get through you to get to their cool gear. Or with higher levels, you can literally flip it to one of your friends for them to pick up and then use against them if they wanted to. Disarming Strike. Super useful when you have gear-based enemies going hard on your characters. Distracting Strike. Coincidentally enough, right next to it, your weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 point of mana, 1 power die per mana channeled. And the next attack per mana expended this way. expended this way, comma, and the next attack roll against the target has advantage if the attack is made before the start of your next turn. So there you go. You set your friends up to win. So you could, for instance, use a distracting strike to hit a target, and then use coordinated attack to order the rogue to use its reaction to make a sneak attack against the target that you just distracted. That's how that sequence works. Interpose is a first rank reaction, also taken from the Battlemaster's original list. Interpose. As a reaction to when an ally within reach of your melee attacks, takes damage from a source you can see, you can take any portion of that damage and gain resistance to it. So you can soak damage for your ally, reducing the damage by half. That's a reaction. Works great to help protect your rogue. So that's interpose. Sweeping strike is a first rank strike power. Or is it? Sweeping strike is now a second rank power. That was updated. So let's update that STR2. Melee only. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana expended. And you can choose a second creature within 5 feet of the original target and within your reach to attack with the same roll. If the attack also hits the second target, it takes the same amount of damage and the same amount and type of damage rolled on the power dice. So this is basically an upgraded cleave that lets you do more damage. Coordinated dash is a first rank maneuver. Masteries are cantrip versions or worse versions that are free to use versus a lot of these strike effects. They require mana, they deal more damage, and if a weapon mastery would allow a saving throw, a lot of times these strike powers don't allow a saving throw. They just automatically trigger and affect the target. Coordinated dash. Where you at, buddy? There you are. Coordinated dash. You can empower 1 ally per mana channeled. Per mana expended this way. You can channel it to 1 ally per mana expended this way. Say that 1,000 times. Oops, per mana expended this way, adding, there you go, per mana expended this way. Intelligence, ready, temporary hit points. There. That should take care of some of that for a little bit. And we were actually trying to work on coordinated dash. So there we go. You can empower 1 ally per mana expended this way that you can see or hear to use their reactions to move up to half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Straight enough. And first strike, exploit, 3rd rank. Costs 3 mana to do this. First strike equals, hold on, it's an exploit. First strike. When you roll initiative, if an enemy is within range of your weapon attack, make an attack roll against that enemy instead. The result of the roll is your initiative count, in addition to dealing any damage if the attack succeeds. There you go. So before combat even starts, this helps resolve those people like, I want to attack before we roll initiative. Can't I just get the jump on them as well? If you took first strike, yes, you can. Did you? No. Shut up. Moving target, reaction 2. Let's go down to reactions, and let's look at moving target. Reactions. Lots of reactions. Moving target, 2 mana. As a reaction to when a creature that you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make an opportunity attack even if the target is using the disengage action, rolling 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result to the attack roll. If the attack misses, restore the mana to the pool. So if somebody's moving around, you can take a shot at them. It costs you 2 mana. If you're probably going to hit because you get the power die juice to your attack roll, and then you get to trigger your opportunity attack, which you could then use with a strike power to further juice the damage and cause additional condition effects like trip them, or push them, or paralyze them, or banish them, or distract them. And that is the Battlemaster. So still love this guy. We've had a couple people play Battlemasters in the playtesting so far. It's been really, really cool. I personally enjoy them a lot. I think they're cool. Pardon me for a second. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, and then we'll get into the next one. I'm a num num. I put an exclamation point when it's done. Champion. So again, Champion gets a stack of free powers that we'll look through each individually. Let's look at the actual features. So level 3, there is very little crit in this game. The Champion and the Ranger are the only 2 that have any kind of crit improvement in the game. So when you roll a 19 or 20 on a weapon attack roll, you score a critical strike. Also at 3rd level, you have advantage on initiative rolls, strength, and dexterity checks for athletics and acrobatics. In addition, when you score a critical hit or channel a maneuver as a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. That's really good. That's level 7. Let's see. In addition, when you score a critical hit or channel a maneuver as a bonus action, you can move up to half your speed. I want to look at what the Remarkable Athlete already does. Immediately after you score a critical hit, you can move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. This feels broken. In addition, when you score a critical hit or channel a maneuver as a bonus action, half your speed. Maybe that isn't broken. Hold on. Critical hit is fine. I'm choking on the channel maneuver. Or channel a maneuver as a bonus action. Half your speed. I'm okay with that. It's a bonus action. It's at best once a round. It's 7th level, and it requires mana for you to do it. That's essentially like the monk, spending a point of focus points to be able to move with as part of like dash, and you get disengaged for free. There's actually balance together, and I'm okay with it. I am okay with that. Heroic Warrior. So let's keep keeping on. During combat, you can give yourself heroic inspiration whenever you start a turn without it. 7th level, you would normally get an additional fighting style, but fighting styles are just feats that you can learn up to 23 of them. If we had that many fighting styles, so that's irrelevant. We got rid of it, and the amount of powers that you get supplant that. Heroic Warrior, the thrill of battle drives you forward. During combat, you give yourself inspiration whenever you start your turn. Whenever you start your turn without it, you give yourself heroic inspiration. Whenever you start your turn without it. If you, a player character, have Heroic Inspiration, you can expend it to reroll any die immediately after rolling it, and you must use the new roll. If you gain Heroic Inspiration but already have it, it's lost unless you give it to a player character who lacks it. The thrill of battle drives you towards victory. During combat, you can give yourself Heroic Inspiration whenever you start your turn without. Jesus, that's amazing. Whenever you start your turn without it. Yeah, whenever you start your turn without it. Okay, perfect. That's during combat. That's a great example of like a during combat only option that has meaningful mechanical effects. There's not a lot of them, but this was the path that we used to create the mana generating powers of sacrificing actions, because you can do that only during combat. This is also something you can only do during combat. So I love that. Superior critical, 18 to 20 on attack. You score a critical hit, making it easier for you to trigger your remarkable athletes. And then Survivor, while bloodied, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier. In addition, when you make a death saving throw, a result of 18 to 20 grants the benefit of rolling a 20, as though it were a crit. So that's a very straightforward class. I love it. Let's take a moment to look at the powers that you gain. So empowered ability, first rank sustained. Let's go look at what our stack of powers are here. Here. Empowered ability. While sustaining this power, choose one ability score. You have advantage when rolling checks and saves for the chosen ability. And then as a kicker effect, which again is something you can spend in addition to the mana that you've tapped to sustain this ability. In addition, when you roll, you can roll 1 power die per mana expended up to your max channel limit, adding the highest result to the result of any ability check or saving throw using this chosen ability. If the check fails, restore the kicker mana to your pool. This is considered to be an exploit power. You can sustain this power. There. This is considered to be an exploit power. You can sustain this kicker. All kicker effects are considered exploits, so that's actually redundant. You can sustain this power multiple times, choosing a different ability each time. So you can have up to 5 ranks of power. That means 5 separate abilities, which means empower ability, first rank power, you can have it 5 times. So 5 out of your 6 stats you can cover with this. It's basically the equivalent of it's very, very close in nature to the Foresight spell at 9th level. This one also has no concentration and juices all of your ability checks and saving throws. Not every D20 test, but ability checks and saving throws. Let's go back up top to look at kicker effects, because we should have kicker listed in here. Exploit powers, maneuver powers, reactions, strike powers, sustain powers, meta powers, durations, range effects, range weapons, target abilities, saving throws, overlapping, visual effects and awareness, disrupting, dismissing powers, forced movement, affecting gargantuan creatures, ranged weapons, and channeled powers. We don't actually have any language listed here. I'm not seeing it being spelled out. Maybe exploit powers. Let's see, exploit effect die roll. Let's go with kickers. Are considered exploits. Kickers further modify. Individual powers when using a kicker effect each. When using a kicker effect, it's considered to be an exploit. There. Now that resolves that. So exploits, kickers, maneuver powers, reactions, strike powers, sustained powers, and then we have meta powers, combat masteries, damage, feats. Cool, that covers that. And then range of effect, ranged weapons, smaller size, and what about down here? Ranged weapons and channeling powers. Channeling power. When you channel power through a ranged weapon, such as exploits that improve attack rolls or strikes that increase damage, you roll a power die one size smaller than normal. For instance, a first level archer using a strike power rolls 1d4 power die instead of a d6. There are features, powers, and items that remove this penalty as described below. And we can get rid of that. And then targeting powers. Friendlies, visual effects, overlapping similar effects, determining area of effect. The origin of an area of effect is any corner of any square within range of the power. For example, a power with a 30-foot range affecting a 5-foot radius can target any corner of any square up to 6 squares away on a 5-foot square grid, affecting a 2x2 square space centered on the chosen point. Visual effects and awareness, disrupting and dismissing powers. Forced movement, affecting gargantuan creatures. Range of effects. Martial powers have a range of 60 feet unless the description indicates otherwise. Powers channeled through thrown or ranged weapons. Attacks can channel powers up to the normal range of the weapon. If the power has a listed range or area of effect, you only need to see an unobstructed creature or location within that range to target it. Thank you. Yeah, we can do that. And if the power is listed range of area of effect, you only need to see an unobstructed area. Ranged weapons, when you channel powers through a ranged weapon, such as exploits that improve attacks or strikes that increase damage. You roll a power die one size. The power can affect targets within the normal range of the weapon. In addition, you roll a power die one size smaller than normal. For instance, a first level archer with a short bow using a strike power rolls can channel a strike power hitting a target up to D&D Beyond. Short bow. Why are you like this? I typed in the word short bow. Why are you incapable of finding it? Is short bow not spelled that way? Come on, baby. I typed in short bow and it can give me anything but short bow. It's the worst search function. You guys spent how many millions of dollars and you haven't fixed search functions yet. So I guess we'll just have to go into the weapon game rule. What I'm willing to do for a reference. Let's go alphabetical listing. And let's go down to page 22 and work our way backwards. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Thank you. $80. Thank you. That was effort. Such as within 80 feet, using a strike power. For instance, a first level archer with a short bow. Can channel a strike power, hitting a target up to 80 feet away. Up to 80 feet away. Can channel a strike power, hitting a target up to 80 feet away using rolls a D4 power die instead of a D6. For instance, a first level archer with a short bow can channel a strike power, hitting a target up to 80 feet away, rolling rolls, it's present, so rolls that hits a target, can channel a strike power, when hitting a target up to 80 feet away. Can channel a strike power when hitting a target up to 80 feet away. Rolling a D4 power die instead of a D6. There are features, powers, and items that remove this penalty as described below. There you go. Easy enough. That's the balancing factor for the ranged weapon. To get rid of the penalty, you have to either take specific options as a ranger or pick up the ranged assault sustained power, which will cost you mana and one of your slots. Yeah, that feels right. Unless the description indicates otherwise. Yeah, 60 feet. So easy peasy. Okay, cool. So that was the what were we looking at? We were looking at empowered ability. That's where we were at. And all of that led off of empowered ability. Good use. Tavern Brawler feat. Cheers. So that is one of the many powers that are, one of the many feats that are listed as powers. Let's look at our full list. Here's our 13 masteries: Addle, Cleave, Disarm, Grapple, Graze, Impair, Nick, push, sap, slow, step, topple, vex, vex, topple, slow, push, neck, graze, cleave. Those are already in the book. Additional masteries that we include is step, which is when you hit a target, you can move 5 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. There's impair, which is target makes a constitution saving throw or is blinded and deafened until the end of your next turn. Grapple is melee weapons only, but the target makes a strength or dexterity saving throw, and if they fail, they are grappled, and you can't use the weapon that you're grappling with to make an attack until the grapple ends. Disarm is target makes a strength saving throw, or the object held is dropped in an adjacent 5-foot square. If it has 2 hands, it makes a save with advantage. This is very different from the disarming strike power above, which requires you to spend mana, and the saving throw is at disadvantage. You add the power dice to the DC, and the distance that the weapon gets tossed, instead of 5 feet within range of the target, it's 10 per mana of the target. So you can do grapple, you can do disarm for free, or you can spend mana to juice the hell out of it to have more control over disarming and where that weapon goes. Cleave is in the book already. Addle is target makes a constitution saving throw or cannot make opportunity attacks until the end of their next turn. So that is a OA shutdown. Oh man, I was watching the OA. What a great show. Here's the 4 origin feats that you can pick up for free. Alert, Healer, Savage, Tavern Brawler being one of them. And the one that we were looking at specifically was Tavern Brawler. So, Tavern Brawler. Legacy 24. No, Legacy 14. Here's 24. Enhanced unarmed strikes. When you hit with your unarmed strike and deal damage, you can deal bludgeoning damage equal to D4 plus your strength modifier instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike. Obviously, a monk is going to do better than this, but regardless, damage rerolls. When you roll a damage die for your unarmed strike, you can re-roll the die if it's a 1, and you have to use a new roll. Improvised weaponry. You have proficient with improvised weapons. Push. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also push it 5 feet away from you. And you can use this benefit only once per turn. So it's basically a free push. It's separate from your normal weapon strikes. And I guess it doesn't specifically say that it's a mastery. It's just a push effect. So it can stack with other weapon masteries that you have or strikes. It's kind of an add-on. Good use. Champion makes sense that they would have that. Thundering Strike. This is going to be an upgrade of your push. Let's check it out. Oh, here's all the other feats. There's a bunch of them. The ones with asterisks are new to the game, but you can pick up any of these that you want. They don't have any prerequisites. What does it say? Feats. Instead of learning a power, you can learn a feat. You don't gain any ability score increases from these feats, nor do you need to meet any of the prerequisites to select them. Feats don't require any mana to use, and when you prepare powers, you can replace these feats with different powers selections if you choose. So you can just stack up all the feats that you want for your character, assuming it's on this list, on first or second, maybe third level. And again, by the time you get to 4th level, you can either cherry pick a very specific feat that's not already on this massive list, or you can just gain your ability score increase so that your character becomes more statistically viable in the game, just like full casters often get to do. So again, balancing the equation. But right now we want to look at Thundering Strike. So let's kick up to Thunder, first rank power. Thundering Strike. Your weapon can deal thunder damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. Per mana expended this way. I think it's expended this way is probably the right language. A creature is pushed directly away from you up to 10 feet for each point of mana expended. So if they're on the ground, you can't punt them into the sky, because it has to be directly away from you. So like if they're right here, then I have to push them this direction. If they're right here, I have to push them this direction. If they're here, I push them that direction. Rogue stance. I'm going to take a sip of water. Rogue stance. With this power, when this power is sustained, you can use a bonus action to dash, dodge, dash, disengage, or dodge. There you go. Not quite Rogue Stance, because Rogue Stance doesn't have dodge. Instead, it has hide, but we're shifting it. So, pardon the pun. Saving Grace, Reaction 2. There you go. Re-roll any d20 test, including any number of power dice rolled. Keep the new result. Rolled. Comma. Period. Keeps the new result. There we go. And double strike. We talked about double strike already earlier. It's now a second rank maneuver, not 3. 3 was just too expensive. You can make 2 attacks. You can't get this until 5th level when you would have extra attacks, so it doesn't overclock the natural ability to attack twice as an action. It just doesn't cost any mana, but it costs 2. That's kind of expensive. Roll with the hit, Reaction 2. Roll with the hit. As a reaction to taking damage from an attack, you reduce the damage by half. Hexproof, Reaction 4. As a reaction to when a creature that you can see targets you with a spell or magical effect, you are unaffected by it, wasting the spell or effect. So if they target you with something, you spend 4 mana, you can ignore that effect. There you go. But you have to see it coming, and it has to be something that they're targeting you specifically with. Indestructible is sustained 4, and then Rider Revival is 4. Rider Revival, as a reaction to when you would drop to 0 hit points but don't die outright, you remain conscious, and roll a number of power dice equal to the mana channeled, which is 4 but could be 5, gaining a number of hit points equal to the total rolled up to your maximum hit point total. And then Indestructible is a 4th rank sustained power. You can see here nothing exceeds 4th level. You gain ranks at 1st, 5th, 9th, and 13th level. So at 13th level, all of the powers that are available in the system you have access to. But you can scale mana up to 5 at 17th. So by 13th level, you're already getting access to all the things that you can play with, but they just get better at 17th. So that's the idea there. What was I looking at? We were looking at Indestructible. While sustaining this power, you gain resistance to all damage, and attacks can't score critical hits. In addition, as a reaction to taking damage, you can dismiss this power and spend 2 mana. If you do, until the beginning of your next turn, you are immune to the triggering damage type. So there you go. It'll end up costing you 6 mana, 1 to fire it up, and then a reaction to knock it down. But when you do, there you go. And then, that was everything. So that's the champion. So cool. We pulled some really useful analysis out of this, did some notable improvements to the subclass, as well as some of the powers and the core description of the mechanics. This is why I like to sweep through and make periodic updates to these systems, because as we further refine it, we have more and more playtest experience to fall back on to feel how these things jive better. So, yeah, super cool. Very pleased. Skipping past the champion now, we're going to drop down into the Eldritch Knight. It's 3:30. I need to take a hot moment here to refresh my water, and I will be back with you guys in a hot moment. BRB. All right. Fresh glass of water. Continue attacking today. Technically, I gave myself till 4 o'clock today. It's 3:30 here in Seattle. I'm going to get through Eldritch Knight, and then Psy Warrior is the last one here. I think I can get through both of these. It'll be before 5 o'clock. That's fine. I don't mind extending my time a bit. So, Eldritch Knight. Okay, so Eldritch Knight is different. It's a blending of both powers and spell casting. So, when you choose this subclass at level 3 and at the levels listed below, you gain bonus spells instead of powers. These are always prepared without counting towards your total prepared. Powers. Bonus spell list. At 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. At 5th level, choose 2 more spells. Up to level 1, choose 2 more spells. Up to level 2, choose 2 more spells. Up to level 3, choose 2 more spells. Up to level 4. No. Hold on. Right. Spellcasting. Instead of gaining bonus powers with this archetype, you can choose a selection of cantrips and spells from the wizard's list instead. Spellcasting. Thank you, Timely Timer. Spellcasting follows all normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. Cantrips. At 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips from the wizard's spell list to learn. Prepared spells, level 1+. At 3rd level, choose 2 level 1 spells from the wizard's spell list to prepare. At 7th level, you can choose up to 2 level 2 spells. At 13th level, you can choose up to 3rd level spells. At 19th, you can choose up to level 4 spells. Changing your cantrips and preparing spells. When you gain a level, you can change any number of cantrips or spells gained up to the maximum level spells listed above. 3rd level, 2 cantrips and 2 spells. 5th level, any combination of 6 cantrips or spells. 9th level, any combination of 8 cantrips or spells. 13th level, any combination of 10 cantrips or spells. 18th level, any combination of 12 cantrips or spells. When you gain a level, bonus spells, spell casting. Let's get rid of this. Hold on. Yeah, we can get rid of this. Spellcasting. Instead of gaining bonus powers with this archetype, you can choose a selection of cantrips and spells from the wizard's list instead. Spellcasting follows all normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. Cantrips. At 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips from the wizard's spell list to learn. Prepared spells, level 1+. At 3rd level, choose 2 level 1 spells from the wizard's spell list to prepare. At level 7, you can choose up to level 2 spells. At 13th level, you can choose up to level 3 spells. At 19th, you can choose up to level 4 spells. You can choose a selection of cantrips and spells from the wizard list instead. Spellcasting follows all normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. 2 cantrips, 2. You can choose 2 level 1 spells. It sounds like you can choose. Changing your cantrips. At 3rd level, choose 2 level 1 spells. You can choose up to. Choose 2 spells up to level 1 from the wizard's spell list to prepare. At level 7, you can choose up to level 2 spells. You can choose level 2 spells. You can choose, up to level 2 spells, up to level 3 spells. Changing your cantrips and prepared spells. When you gain a level, you can change any number of cantrips or spells gained for new ones up to the maximum level spell level. 3rd level, 2 cantrips and 2 spells. 5th level, any combination of 6 cantrips or spells. 9th level, any combination of 8 cantrips or spells. 13th level, any combination of 10 cantrips or spells. Maybe, Yeah, I should change that to 3, 7, 13, 19. Yeah, let's do that. 3, 7, choose 2 spells up to level 1. Yeah, let's do that. And then choose 2 spells up to level 1. There. Copy. Paste. Changing your cantrips and prepared spells. When you gain a level, you can change any number of cantrips or spells gained for new ones, up to the maximum level spell, listed below. You can choose up to, let's see, at level 3, you can choose 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. At 7th level, you can choose any combination of 6 cantrips and spells up to level 2. Any combination of 6 cantrips and spells up to level 2. Up to level 2. 8 cantrips. 6, 8. At 13th level, you can choose any combination of 8 cantrips or spells up to level 3. At 13th level, you can choose, at 19th level, you can choose any combination of 10 cantrips or spells. Up to level 4. There, that paces with the 10 that you would gain. Spellcasting ability, you can use your channeling ability as your spellcasting ability as well, which could be either strength, dexterity, or intelligence. Spellcasting Focus. You can use any object you have formed a bond with using your War Bond feature as a spellcasting focus with your Eldritch Knight spells. Maintaining concentration on a spell follows the rules as presented in the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules. On DMsGuild, each rank of power you sustain, each power of rank you sustain reduces the maximum spell level you can maintain concentration on at the same time. For example, if a 9th level Eldritch Knight is sustaining 2 ranks of power, you can only concentrate on a level 1 spell. You are not limited to casting 1 spell with mana per round. For example, you can cast a level 3 spell that uses the magic action and a level 2 spell that uses a bonus action during your turn if you have 5 mana available. War Bond, level 3. You can perform a 1-hour ritual to create. This is a common rule for the Color Mana system that we have, where if you have a bonus action spell, you can cast it as a bonus action, and you can still cast a normal spell as a magic action on your standard action, and you can still cast a reaction during your turn if an opportunity would arise that you would be able to do so. We aren't restricting the actions. That's going to help match pace with the amount of activity that the martial characters can do. So that's appropriate. I think that spellcasting is an artificial limitation that the Wizards placed on spellcasting, because I don't think they want you to Nova as much, but it's never been a problem. It's never been a problem. So that level of balance, I don't know what table needs that, but again, these are all optional rules. If you think I'm wrong, then you can skip it, but I don't think you have a problem. War Bond. You can perform a 1-hour ritual to create a magical bond between yourself and 1 item you can hold in 1 hand. The item must remain within 5 feet of you during the ritual, and it must not be bonded to another character, or if you choose a magical item to bond with, the item cannot be attuned to another creature. Once an item is bonded to you, it is on the same plane of existence as you. You can use a bonus action to summon the object to your hand, and the object cannot be disarmed while you hold it unless you are incapacitated. You can have up to 2 items bonded this way. Each requires a separate ritual to bond and a separate bonus action to summon. If you choose to bond with a 3rd object, you must break the bond with one of the other 2 objects. 7th level, War Magic. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can forego 1 attack to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip with a casting time of 1 action. In addition, when you sacrifice action economy to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your Eldritch Knight bonus spells with a duration of instantaneous or concentration instead of channeling a power. So if I generate 3 mana, at level 7, I can generate 1 point of mana with a bonus action, and I can generate 1 point of mana by standing still, but I would need the action economy open to be able to cast the spell again. So I could, at 7th level, generate 2 points of mana, but I could actually cast, I can only cast 2nd level spells at 7th level. So I could generate enough mana to cast the spell, but it has to either be an instant spell or it has to be a concentration effect. Concentration spells shut down my ability to sustain powers. Sustaining powers shuts down my ability to concentrate on spells. Like it said above, a 7th level character can have 2 ranks, has 2 ranks of power or 2nd level spells. So if you are sustaining 1 rank of power, you can only maintain concentration on a 1st level spell. If you're maintaining concentration on a 2nd level spell, you can't sustain any powers because both of the ranks are tied up. If you could have 2 1st level spells that you're maintaining concentration on and deny you access to power. You could sustain a 2nd rank power and not have any spells available. You can do 1 power and 1 spell. 2 powers of 1st rank each, 2 spells of 1st level each. There you go. That system works fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, the DC of concentration continues to scale up from 10. It's 10 plus the amount of mana that you're maintaining. So if a 10th level, is that the level? Hold on. 13th. If a 13th level Eldritch Knight is maintaining concentration on a 3rd level spell, the DC to maintain concentration is 13. And so you take the damage. If half the damage is above 13, it becomes whatever that higher number is, and it's the Constitution saving throw. DC equals half the damage taken. Otherwise, anytime you make a saving throw at all, no matter what the stat is, any saving throw, if you don't hit at least for that third level spell a DC 13, you lose concentration. It's gone. So if I hit you with a Ray of Frost and it slows you, you make a dexterity saving throw, or your movement speed is reduced by 10 feet. If you rolled a 12 and passed the DC and you avoid having your movement slowed, no worries. But you didn't hit a 13 on that saving throw, so that saving throw, you're automatically going to dump your third level spell. This allows you to stack like 3 first level spell effects, and if you don't hit that 13 on a random grappling check, if you try to break free of the grapple, you have to hit at least a 13. Not only do you have to beat the grapple check, but you also have to roll at least a 13 on your strength or dexterity saving throw, or you'll lose all your spells while being grappled. So that's how that system works. It works incredibly well. I've been using it for 7 years at my home table, and if you jump in my Discord channel, there's a bunch of people that use the system independently of me. And yeah, works really freaking great. Cantrips. Warbond, so that's how Warbond works. And Rangers get Warbond at level 1. So, but only for ranger spells. So like a wizard could take a level 1 ranger dip, but if the spell is off of your wizard's list and not the ranger's list, then you can't use the war magic option for any of those wizard spells, but always for ranger spells. And most ranger spells are either comparable AoE damage type stuff to what your strikes can already do, or it's going to be a concentration effect that's basically like a self buff sort of thing, or it can be a CC effect. But it's tying up your action economy to do these things. So it's actually been balancing pretty well so far in the tests. If we find that it breaks later on down the road, we'll fix it. But for now, it works great. Level 10, Eldritch Strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw against a spell you cast. Next saving throw against a power, or it should be against a power or spell before the end of the next turn. There we go. And then Arcane Charge. When you use the Arcane Surge, when you use your Arcane Surge, when you use your Action Surge, you can teleport to an unoccupied space you can see up to 30 feet away before the end of the turn. And you can expend 4 mana from your mana pool to regain a use of Action Surge. No action required. And you can eventually cash out your Action Surge to gain 4 mana at 20th level, but at this level, it's only worth 3 mana. So it's actually a loss, which is good. And then Improved War Magic, level 18. Once per round, when you take the attack action, you can use 1 attack to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip or an Eldritch Knight bonus spell with a casting time of 1 action. Let's look at Battlemaster. We have 3 attacks at level 15. When you use your Action Surge, level 18, you still have 3 attacks. 4 at 20th. Once per round, when you take the attack action, cast an Eldritch Knight spell or an Eldritch Knight bonus spell. Or one of your Eldritch Knight bonus spells, Eldritch Knight bonus spells, or one of your Eldritch Knight bonus spells with a casting time of 1 action. You can, once per round, when you take the attack action, you can use 1 attack to instead cast an Eldritch Knight cantrip or... Yeah, I'm okay with that. or one with your Eldritch Knight bonus. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's good. Okay, cool. And since the list of spells, the bonus things that you get are spells, and they pace at the 3, 7, 13, 19 as you should gain progress. That all clips. This is actually the Arcane Trickster and the Eldritch Knight are actually the reasons why we limited Eldritch the list of powers to 4th or lower rank, so that it would be able to coincide with the 1st to 4th level spells that you get access to as an Eldritch Knight, so you don't have that disparage between 4th and 5th access, right? That's the idea. So, ba-ba-da-bo. Let's see. Okay, and that takes care of the Eldritch Knight. So I think those are good improvements. I like that change. Bop, moving forward. Okay, and that takes care of the Eldritch Knight. So I think those are good. Psy Warrior bonus actions. Here they are. Bonus powers that you get. We'll check those out in the future. Features. Hey, we're doing okay. Let's see what happens in 20 minutes where we're at. Sonic Power, Protective Field. When you or another creature you can see... Hold on. Right. Protective Field. When you or another creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you create a momentary shield of telekinetic force. As a reaction, roll a number of power dice per mana expended up to your max channel limit. The damage taken is reduced by an amount equal to the sum of the power dice rolled, plus your channeling ability modifier, minimum of 1. Telekinetic Adept. When you cast the Mage Hand spell, you don't need to maintain concentration on it. That is going to come from the Telekinesis feat. Telekinetic Adept. Psi-Powered Leap. You gain the benefit of the Efficient Power feat when you channel Abundant Step. You gain Abundant Step at 5th level. This comes in at 7th level. So let's look at what these are real quick. Abundant Step is an exploit. So exploit. Abundant Step. You can channel this exploit as part of a move action. You gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. If you do not end your turn on a surface or liquid that can support you, you fall as normal. If you kick the cost by 1, you can double your flight speed. If you kick the cost by 3, requiring 9th level, you can triple your flight speed, and a kicker cost of 5, requiring 17th level, you can quadruple your flight speed. So up to typically like 120 feet, unless you have something that further ramps your speed. There you go. And you have to land on something that can support you, otherwise you fall. There's a feather fall ability later on that helps mitigate that effect. But that's the Abundant Step feature, and it's a first rank exploit. And so, again, the way that the feature reads is you gain the benefit of the Efficient Power feat when you channel the Abundant Step. And the speed is automatically doubled without paying the 1 point kicker cost. But you could spend 3 and then 5 later on. 3 at 9th and then 5 at 17th level to triple and quadruple the speed. But you basically get this for free. So let's look at Efficient Power real quick. It's one of the meta power feats that we developed for this document. And it reads, here it is, Efficient Power, asterisk. Efficient Power requires channeling class feature. It is a repeatable feature. Choose 1 power from the disciplines list when you select this feat, something that requires mana to use. When you channel this chosen power, you gain 1 temporary point of mana to do so. So the simple act of channeling this power generates mana for you to use with that power. So that means that a first rank power gets a free point of mana with it for free. If there's kicker effects, you have to pay for those separately. But like in the case of Abundant Step, you get only costs 1 point to activate Fly for the turn, and then the extra effect is that you get the kicker for free beyond that. But the Efficient Power itself allows you to take any first rank power that exists in the game and essentially make it free to use if you're only channeling 1 point of mana. Bonus Attack, for instance, gives you a bonus action to attack with advantage. If you use Efficient Power, it's free. You can use prepared powers to learn efficient power. So if I learned like for example, if I took bonus attack as a first rank maneuver, I have to prepare that with one of my prepared lists. And then I could take efficient power on top of it. So it cost me 2 known powers to access this, but now I can use bonus attack for free to gain an advantage on an attack, either or as an attack action or as a bonus action. I can do them both in the same round if I want to. But the kicker effect isn't covered. So if I wanted to roll extra dice to further ramp my attack bonus, I would have to pay for those kicker costs independently. The efficient power is just paying for the base power itself. I could use this with a 4th rank power, like indestructible. That costs 4 points, and if I make it efficient, 1 point is paid for by itself, and it still costs 3 out of my own mana pool, which I could generate with action economy if I wanted to. But then when I tie up when I look at my sustained power, it's still a 4th rank power. So that's going to eat up 4 of my, at 17th level, 5 slots available. At 13th level, I'd have all 4 of my slots tied up, even though I only had to pay 3 of that myself, quote unquote, somehow. So that's what efficient power does. It allows you to essentially take any number of first rank powers that you can pay for by paying for it twice, or just taking an extra feat, like at your 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It becomes free to use if it's only a 1 mana use. So that's a way for you to really be able to juice up the action, because you get 4 powers at first level. So you could take 2 powers that would normally cost mana, and then you can take efficient power twice. So you only have 2 powers, but they're for free. They're spammable forever for free. So that includes strikes. You automatically deal 1 die of damage without having to spend any mana from it. And you can further ramp it later with action economy, but you still are limited to 1 point per rank, even though one of those points was provided for free. That's why we have it worded this way. It generates temporary mana, because you're still using the mana to pay for the ability to set how many power dice you're using by the amount of mana that's expended. You generate temporary mana to expend to power the dice that ramps the effect. So you have to have that language in there. You can't just say it becomes less expensive by 1, or it becomes free to use if it's the first. No, it's not like that, because you still have to pay for the die. You're just giving them mana for free to pay for the die. You're subsidizing their mana pool with efficient power. So that's how that works. Telekinetic Thrust. When you deal psychic damage with weapon attack, you can use the push or topple mastery in addition to any other effects. So you automatically get those with a psychic damage, and look at that. You gain psychic damage at 5th level, which means that anytime I'm making an attack, if it's a weapon attack, if it's a weapon attack I'm proficient with, including unarmed and natural weapon attacks, I can, instead of dealing physical like BPS, I can deal psychic damage instead. And when I do, I get the topple or push effect for free, because that's my kicker effect. So there you go. And then Guarded Mind. The psionic energy flowing through you has bolstered your mind. You have resistance to psychic damage. Moreover, if you start your turn charmed or frightened, you can expend 1 mana to end every effect on yourself, subjecting you to those conditions. Not bad. Bulwark of Force. You can shield yourself and others with telekinetic force. As a 3rd rank sustained power, a number of creatures up to the max rank of power you've gained as a fighter, including yourself, within 30 feet of you, have half cover. You can change who benefits from this feature as a bonus action while the power is sustained. In addition, once per round, when one of the creatures benefiting from this cover is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to increase their protection by granting full cover against that attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier diminishes after the attack, returning to half cover. There you go. So as a reaction, I can give you full cover to negate an attack coming against you. Only 1 person inside of my bubble of protection per round. If I have multiple attacks, if I have multiple reactions, and this character does not automatically gain additional reactions, but if you took opportunistic, you could exchange attacks for additional reactions. You could use your action surge to further pump this to gain more. So a 20th level character that dumps their action surge, you get a total of 8 reactions. that you could use to repeatedly defend your team from being targeted by any individual attack or effect. Pretty cool. And then immediately after the attack is nullified, it returns to half cover. So you can duplicate in addition once per round when one creature benefiting from this cover is hit by an attack. Yeah, hit by the attack. You can use your reaction to increase the protection to granting full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. And we have effects in here that ignore full cover. So if you have like Arcane Archer and Piercing Strike, I think, those ignore cover. And so if you're seeing a bubble of protection being formed over enemies in the future, then you're going to know that, well, we're going to probably want to have some sort of a piercing ability be available, or disrupt that bubble, which you can with a Dispel Magic spell. And then lastly, at Telekinetic, you can duplicate the Telekinesis spell. As a sustained effect, channeling 5 mana to do so. While sustaining this effect, you can use your action or bonus action, similar to a maneuver power, to target a creature or object, but no more than one target at a time. You can use a magic action and bonus action during your turn, similar to a maneuver power, to target a creature or object, but no more than one target at a time. There you go. So now you get TK at 18th level. It's a 5th level spell that you get access to. Nice. And that's before you get access, and that would be before the Eldritch Knight would normally get access to 4th level spells. So let's go through this list real quick to see what everything is, to make sure everything's clean, and that'll finish our day. And holy crap, it's only 4:05. We made a really good time today. So checking these things out real quick. Telekinesis is a feat. It basically gives you Mage Hand that you have to maintain concentration on, but our ability is to ignore concentration, so you can just have Mage Hand active all the time. As long as you're willing to drag it along with you. It's slow, but you can drag it along. And then Psionic Strike is, does that still exist? I think that still exists, right? As long as you're willing to drag it along with you. It's slow, but you can drag it along. And then Psionic Strike. That's luck. Does that still exist? I think that's yeah, Psionic Strike, first rank. Your weapon can deal force or psychic damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. There you go. So Psionic Strike, force or psychic damage. And then, and we already have TK. And then there's Abundant Step, which we just looked at. It lets you gain flight. And then psychic damage is a damage type that you normally don't get access until 5th level. This matches step with that. Basically, any attack that you make with a weapon that you're proficient with, natural weapons, unarmed attacks included, you can now use psychic damage instead of whatever type of damage that weapon would normally use. Dire Impact, we looked at already. It's 1 plus your proficiency modifier, so at 9th level, it would be a +4 bonus to all damage rolls. And when you roll a power die to deal damage, it's going to deal at least 3 points of damage. Anything that's less than that gets rounded up. Flatten, Maneuver, 1. We haven't looked at Flatten in a bit, so let's take a look at it. Flatten, Maneuver 1 equals... This one is still being tested and controversial. We're playing with it. Choose a creature up to size large that you can see. It takes 1 power die of damage per mana expended this way. It takes 1 power die of force damage per mana expended this way, and is knocked prone. If you spend 3 mana, these aren't kicker effects. This is just saying if you spend 3 mana, you can target is huge. If you spend 5 mana, the target is gargantuan. This is typically a 1st level spell. So this knocks you prone. The big the big controversy that we're having right now from playtesting yesterday is this too strong against flying targets that do not have prone and or that don't have hover, because being knocked prone if you don't have hover means that you fall. So the inference here is starting to become, because you have to be within 60 feet, because above targeting is 60 feet, and that's often far enough away to be able to target things that are in the sky that are trying to engage in combat with you, or you just wait until they're close enough to do so. And if you can just knock them out of the sky, you're going to be doing a lot more damage. Let's see. Choose a creature up to size large that you can see. I think experimentally what we could do is the quickest fix to this: choose a creature up to size large that you can see. Choose a creature you can choose a creature up to size large. Choose a creature that is standing on a surface that can support its weight that you can see. Comma, up to size large, period. It takes 1 power die of force damage per mana expended this way and is knocked prone. Spend 5 mana to target is huge. Spend 5 mana, target is gargantuan. So you have to get it on the ground first, and then you can force it to stay prone. It stays prone until choose a creature that is standing on a surface and is knocked prone. And it can get up on its own next turn, but this will eliminate knocking things out of the sky. I think is a legitimate concern, because we're dealing with a chasm that's 500 feet tall, that if you just knock a dark mantle out of the sky using flatten, you've just one-shot that dark mantle. And dark mantles are size small, so they automatically lose this, so you can just blap them out of the sky. And if you take efficient power, this becomes free to use. So you can just blap anything that's airborne up to size large or small. And that honestly is too powerful. So I think this is going to be the proposed change. And so you still have to get them on the ground yourself. Yeah, I like that. All right, that's how we're going to sit. So far, so good. I'll need to make note of that revision. And then we have flatten. Okay, we did that. Defense barrier, reaction 3. Defensive barrier. As a reaction to a source you can see targeting you with an attack, you create a momentary opaque barrier, granting you full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier disappears at the beginning of your next turn. It's 3 mana to pop that, and it lasts for the turn. It's basically a really expensive shield spell. And then we see that again reflected at 18th level, at 15th level with the Bulwark of Defense. So those complement each other. Shunt, maneuver 1. Reactions. Maneuver. Shunt. The target a number of creatures equal to the amount of mana expended that are within 10 feet and up to one size larger than you to make a strength save or be pushed up to 10 feet per mana channeled directly away from you. You can roll a number of power dice equal to the mana expended, adding the highest roll to the saving throw DC. So push people away from you. Celerity, sustain 3. Finally, Celerity shows up. I love Celerity. It is haste. 3rd level, 3rd rank, match. Celerity. While sustaining this power, you gain the following benefits. Movement speed doubles. Gain +2 bonus to your armor class. Gain advantage with dexterity saving throws from sources you can see. Gain an additional action to make a weapon attack, dash, dodge, disengage, or channel, maneuver, or sustain power. That action cannot be sacrificed to generate mana. While sustaining this power, attacks targeting you by, what's that read? You gain an additional bonus action to make a weapon attack, dash, dodge, disengage, or channel a maneuver or sustain power. That action cannot be sacrificed. Normally, you can use a bonus action to channel a maneuver or sustain power. You can also use a magic action. So that action cannot be sacrificed to generate mana. There you go. It also doesn't have any kind of stunning effect either when you use it. It doesn't require concentration. It just turns on and stays on, but it eats up all your shit. We just looked at Shunt. Telekinetic Bubble, Maneuver 4. TK Bubble is... get down to it. Here you go. Telekinetic Bubble. Choose a creature up to large size that you can see. It becomes trapped within a resilient sphere as per the spell. The creature can dex save to end the effect at the end of each of its turns, or you can dismiss it early as a reaction. Kicker effect, 2 mana. Target must be large. Kicker effect, 4. Target can be gargantuan up to 20 feet in size. Wave of Terror, and then there's gargantuan that are bigger than 20 feet, but they can't get trapped. So it's 4 to start, 5, 6, 4 to start, 8 for gargantuan. And you can choose to break out of it or stay in it. It's basically an indestructible hamster ball. You can put yourself in it and stay inside of it, choosing not to dex save your way out of it. Or you can dex save your way out of it if you don't like it. But sometimes it could be really useful to be trapped inside of a TK bubble. So there you go. But only the target inside of the TK bubble can choose to end the effect, not something outside trying to crack it open. But you could use Dispel Magic on it or a force effect to destroy it, which could be any force weapon damage that you deal. Reactions, 21. So it's kind of useful in combat. It's a quick oh shit button for combat. But it doesn't, it can crumble, especially at this level. That's level 13. You're going to fight stuff with force effects. And that takes care of the Psy Warrior. So I'm really happy with these. These have been some great revisions. We locked down some language. I need to post in the Discord that we made that change to flatten. I think it's a good one. And revised the Eldritch Knight language. Got that all fixed. Straightened away the champion. This was a good round of revisions. So when we come back, we're now looking at the Forsaken fighter subclasses, Arcane Archer, etc. But when we come back next time, that'll be on Friday lunchtime. We're going to begin the process. We probably won't have the time at lunch because I'm going to be back at my day job. I only have an hour lunch. So when we come back on Friday, we'll begin working on the monk, and we'll probably finish up the sub. Maybe on Friday. Maybe on Friday we won't. Maybe we'll do something other than this, and then we can come back to this on Saturday, and visit this on Saturday, and do the monk subclasses and look at the monk scaffold. Oh fuck, that's cool. All right, that's it for now, guys. I'm gonna bounce out of here. Thanks a lot for all the new subscribers today. I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad the stuff that I do people think are cool. And because I sure do. So I'm about to hit my 3rd year anniversary of doing this stuff. I've got over 1,200 videos so far of me doing live streams of me doing artwork and book design. A number of those books of which have been published since then, like the Elemental Key that's linked down below in the 5-color mana set, the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. Other stuff, the revivified classes, where I did all the monk revisions that you'll be seeing down in the Forsaken monk list below. but not using our mana system, just using normal 5e24. So we'll be seeing those updates. I'm sure I did some other stuff, but yeah, that's where we're at. That's what's been going on. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue the undead artwork for the Eberron adventure that we're building on. And then I'll be back Thursday morning for the same. And then Thursday night, I'll be back on to work on the Bastion campaign book some more. Friday morning, back at Eberron. Friday lunchtime, don't know what we're going to work on. But then Saturday morning, we'll be back and working on the monk, plus whatever else we get to, maybe the rogue as well. So, yeah, see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks a lot for being here. See you later.